Okay, so I stopped bulking yesterday. I got on a call with my coach and I basically decided I've had enough of this shit. And I want to basically explain why, the story, and pretty much how you can tell whether you should stop and what you should do, basically. What's the best port of call? Because I'll give you a bit of context. So I've now been basically, quote unquote, bulking for 6 months since the start of the start of May to now where we're at on the 15th, I think, of October. So it's now been around 6 months. I went from 65 kilograms to around 80, so 15 kilograms. Still kept my abs, which is pretty good. Still holding decent condition. And I've gained around 30 pounds. I'll show you. Like, look at this. Like, for where I'm at, it's actually not that bad. I've still got some sort of definition, but the truth is, I was not enjoying where I'm at, because at the end of the day, although your lifts go up, although you put on a load of muscle, which I definitely have done, your enjoyment for food, one, goes out the window, and two, I found that I was becoming very ill-disciplined in the sense that I wasn't doing any cardio, and I was eating a lot of shit food some days just to pretty much hit my calorie target. And yeah, maybe on quote unquote, on paper, it kind of helps me hit my goals. Like, at the end of the day, I hit my calories and the weight scale goes up and my lifts go up, cool. But really, I felt just a bit unhealthy. I was just eating, burgers 2 or 3 times a week, pizzas here and there, because you can, really. As long as obviously your protein's there and so on and so forth. And I found that at the start, it was great. But when I got to around 4,000 calories and I was consistently having to do that every single day, I was like, oh my God, this is a bit of a joke. I've had enough. And it's very, very obvious to me as well that the body feels the same, because one, I don't want to eat anymore. Like, I can tell that I'm just not hungry, which just shows that my appetite's in the bin. And second of all, I think the food partitioning is just out the window, which tends to happen after 6 months of pushing up your weight. What I noticed was that at the start, it was all going towards strength, muscle. I was getting stronger. Now I've noticed in the last 3 weeks alone, a massive increase in just fat gain around the midsection. I was like, okay, this isn't very optimal anymore. So I basically explained all of this to my coach and said, like, I'd like to potentially call it a day here and get lean. Also, due to the fact we're in Bali and everyone shredded. My client, my mate Sal, is in there and he's way shredded, like way more shredded than me, because obviously we put him on the cut. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, I'm supposed to be the coach here, and I look shit. So I was like, nah, I'm calling it a day. And basically now, what I've realised is the play is obviously to grow as much muscle as possible, is to enter a surplus, but you really, really need to be passionate about it, and it depends on your situation, I think I'm in a good position where I can call it a day, and that's what my coach said to me. He said, you know what, we can call it a day because you've built a shit ton of muscle. You put on 33 pounds. I'm the strongest I've ever been. So for me, I think this is productive. Now it's a case of doing a 10-week tidy up to see what we've built. I'm planning on pretty much getting down to around 72 kilogram. I'm at 78 now, 71 or so, and then just get as lean as possible. I'm going to do that in 10 weeks, and I will document all of this, so you will see this in real time. But the reason I wanted to make this video was just basically, one, to obviously update all my loyal watchers, and also explain that you should not be pushing up your weight for prolonged periods of time, and you should know when to call it. And for me, I found that the perfect time was essentially when your insulin sensitivity just goes out the window, when you notice that there's clear signs from the body, and typically that comes around the 6 month point. You notice that you don't want to eat as much food. Your lifts aren't really going up despite you eating 4,000 calories. You're having to eat absurd amounts of calories just to gain weight. I'm 5'8", I weigh 78 kilograms. My scale doesn't go up and I eat 4,000 calories a day. Something's fucking wrong there. So that's a really, really clear sign of what you should do. And if it's a case of like, you can do a quick tidy up, you can remove some body fat and you can go again if that's what you want. For me personally, it's a case of I want to build a lot of muscle. I think we've done that now, but then I also want to make sure that I look good at all times. At the end of the day, my role is an online fitness coach. I need to look my best, in my opinion. I don't feel confident in myself providing advice if I don't look as shredded as possible. And I know that I can do that. So I want to just go again and then stay there and pretty much gain as much size from a maintenance standpoint whilst being lean. That's kind of where my head's at the moment. And that's kind of what my goal is for now. That's, how sometimes the goalposts change. At the start it was, let's get big as possible. But now it's a case of, I want to do this. And I just want to explain that you can do that. You definitely need to stay uncomfortable for a prolonged period of time when it comes to any sort of off season. You need to build muscle, because one thing that a lot of people make the mistake on is essentially wanting to see their abs, wanting to get lean, but having nothing to show for it. So when they essentially lose all the body fat, they come down and there's literally no muscle there. And it's like, okay, you actually need to commit. Now, the trick to do that is obviously get really lean and just take your time and focus on building that there. But personally for me, I've trained for 6 years now, 7 years, I'd say. And I just really want to just stay lean for as long as possible. So that was kind of like what I was thinking. That's like where I basically realized, okay, the body dysmorphia has kicked in, but I've had that for a while now. I've said I don't really like the way I look, but you kind of push through it. And then after a while, when you see essentially body composition going out the window, strength not increasing as much, and fat storage gaining, and your appetite's gone, that's when you know you should potentially call it a day. And when you do that, no fucking around, you just go straight into a deficit. I'm on 2.8k calories in my training day, 2.4. I've thrown in 5 days of cardio. And that's pretty much the way you run things. That's where I'm at the moment. I'm going to be documenting the whole process. So a little curveball, but it makes life exciting. I feel like I have my discipline back. I did cardio this morning, I did stairmaster, felt amazing. And I'm ready to get shredded. So I'm going to create a series where I'm going to post every single day, but I'm going to document what the shreds are like. There's going to be a full day of eating coming out as well, which is going to be sick. So stay tuned for that. But that's all from me today. Any questions, bulking, cutting, anything related, drop them in the comments. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.